Hello there, this is Amma Mehmet. Say one. Hello, how you doing? Welcome to this episode. This is a little bit of a somber video, so forgive me if I'm a bit somber. This is one of those times when it's tough to be gay and to be playful about what it is I want to discuss with you. It's been about 2 years since a young Ghanaian lady was killed in Orlando in the United States. The circumstances of her murder and the lessons that come from it is why I am here. The reason why I want to make this video is because this week, her husband, who is certainly still alive and well, even when incarcerated, appeared to a hearing which has also still not had a verdict. So literally, he is still walking free, and she has been dead for well over a year, possibly 2. Her name is Barbra Tomi. I don't like names like Barbra Tomi to be forgotten because I do not want other women to fall before we learn. So I will tell you the story of Barbra Tomi and her husband as became public when the murder happened. And I will tell you some of the lessons that I picked up for people at that time. But you see, as soon as I started talking and thinking about Barbra Tomi, there is another girl in Nigeria who fell within the last year, whose family is definitely all over the place. Those of you who follow Blessing CEO, the reason why Blessing CEO was picked up in the last few weeks revolved around this story too. Her name was Bimbo. I can't say her family name accurately, so let me not lie to you and give you a different one. Her name is Bimbo. Her husband is IVD. A lot of people in Nigeria will know this story. And if you don't, do a very simple search on Facebook for Bimbo and IVD, link the name Blessing CEO to it, and you will find enough stories to bring yourself up to speed. But the stories of Barbra Tomi and Bimbo go like this. They were married, and marriage cost them each their lives. They are girls who never met, I don't think. They didn't know each other. But what happened to them is reflective of some of the advice that we give in society and have been giving for a long time. Some of the things that we've made into values that are nonsensical. And so I want to discuss them. Let's go for Barbra Tomi. Barbra was a young girl, comes from a decent home, all of them in the United States, quite affluent, doing well, amazing. Met a guy who is hustling it out, and I'm very sure from the stories I heard, her family would have helped them out a lot. This guy is a priest. Barbra is a Christian girl. And so having married a priest, till death do us part. Well, as you can see, death has parted them, but it's only one person who's dead. The other person has not killed himself, certainly not. And I'm sure he's here looking for ways in which he can find his freedom and carry on with his life, right? Okay. Barbra's husband was a priest. I think the story says that he went to Ghana at some point, and I think he got caught in wanting to make his church successful. And so sometimes when you want to make your church successful, some people go to places to try and be successful. This is just a speculation. It could also be a mental illness, who knows? But somehow this guy had turned. Somehow this guy was acting strangely. Somehow it became unsafe for this girl to be around him, and this is where the problems began. Good girls don't leave marriages, right? Good girls stay till the bitter end. Good girls don't allow the law to take its course. Good girls. But this had actually become quite problematic for this good girl to become separated from her husband. But I am still convinced that she had not emotionally moved on. I remember watching the video. There was a footage that came out which happened a few days or weeks before he actually did lay her ambush. He laid ambush, shot her once, put his foot on her head, and then landed 6-point range shots that finished her before anybody had a chance to salvage. This footage before he did this, he was in his house. They had gone to collect paperwork. So this girl said she needed paper. I don't know what paperwork you can need in America that you couldn't get a duplicate of, if you went back to the issuing authority, I don't know, but she needed paperwork. So she went back to the house that she previously shared with this guy with her brother and her sister-in-law. So there were 3 of them in her party when they went there versus this guy. And as soon as, even with the witnesses, this guy was physically looking to assault her. So her brother had to intervene and also physically deal with this guy. And in that altercation, this guy says, I promise you, if I don't kill your sister, call me fake. He said this exactly same words. I promise you, if I don't kill your sister, call me fake. How a person is allowed to walk free when they've made a threat like this. And as you can see in hindsight from history, he actually did mean it and he did execute on it. I promise you, if I don't kill your sister, call me fake. And even the logic, he's not mentally sound, I don't think. Because the conversation they were having with him and the places he was taking the conversation to, and the fact that his wife had, it was not logical, it was not collected. This is somebody who should have been sectioned way before this incident was allowed to happen. And if he was not going to be sectioned, the girl needed to have been protected and removed from where he was a long time before he got the chance to do what he did. These are the lessons. Mental illnesses are real and they are brought on by different things. Okay, he could have been depressed. He could have been many things, but he was not mentally okay. His wife herself was also not mentally okay, because in this event, in the altercation, when her brother was trying to defend her, all she knew was, it's okay. Perry, yeah? Perry, it's okay. It's okay. Leave him alone. Yeah, because that's what we've been taught that good girls do, right? You protect your marriage till the very end. And no, listen, there are many things in the Bible that a lot of people don't highlight, and you need to read for yourself and allow gumption to come into operation, regardless of you being a church girl or whatever. In the Bible, you are supposed to give people what runs over from your cup. Your cup has to be full. You were never supposed to pour out of your cup for other people. Your cup runneth over. It is the run over that goes to other people. What is in the cup is for you. You need to understand that. The very good book says, love thy neighbor, and it gives you the measuring stick for how much to love your neighbor as thyself. Your husband is your neighbor, your wife is your neighbor too. I know people say the 2 shall be 1. If God wanted you to jump in one body, the minute you got married, he would have jumped. He can, but he didn't. Why? Love your neighbor as thyself. You've got to love thyself first. You've got to know how to care for thyself. You've got to know how to keep yourself safe, well, and here. Yeah? You will have a chance to appeal to God for forgiveness when you are alive. When you are dead, the game is over. To allow somebody to finish you off in this state without getting a chance to think through and to reflect on things and to be able to put things right, that is robbery of life, which irritates me. It irritates me. And I still want the story of Barbra, Tomi, and her husband to be fresh in the minds of a lot of you who find yourself in abusive places, in unsafe places. You can still be a good Christian and keep yourself safe. The good book still asks you to be wise like a serpent. It's in the Bible too. Read it. You are supposed to use your brain. He gave it for a reason. If things are becoming unsafe, you should know. And in fact, sometimes the people who have lived through this abusive cycle would have overstayed, and so the abuse begins to affect their brain. Barbra definitely had been affected. And she certainly was not in a position to make choices for herself that were good for her. And sometimes those of you who love people like this are then required to step in and protect them even from themselves. Her brother should have protected her from herself. This is my view. Her brother's wife was actually alluding to this on video, that this was not new. Well, look, if it's your sister-in-law and your husband won't like it, don't worry. Take care of business. Call the police and tell them. Make a report. If this footage had gone to the law enforcement, and they had heard that line of him saying, "If I don't kill your sister, I'd be fake," they'd have taken it very seriously. But this was sitting on people's phones. It only went out after the game was finished, after he had finished with the girl. So at the moment, the only use for that video is for me to refer to it to bring this important fact home to you, so that if you are somebody who loves another person in an abusive cycle, please understand that the abuse cycle actually rips the ability to self-preserve from the victims. It strips them of some of their cognition, so they are not able to make the choices they need to make to protect themselves. At that point, they've lost capacity, and that defers and confers onto you who loves them the moral responsibility to make sure that you step in and secure them. Sometimes bringing them screaming, kicking, and shouting, but making sure that they are secure. Sometimes you need to be the bad person, you need to play the bad cop to make sure order is established. Sometimes it's you with your long mouth who needs to make a phone call to alert the right people to be mindful. Sometimes it is you who will repeatedly tell her that this is not normal, this is not acceptable, this is not how it's supposed to be. And after banging on for a while, sometimes you are lucky and it filters into their coconut at some point. Bimbo. Bimbo married a guy who was nothing. Sounds to me like it's Bimbo who has invested in this guy. You know where this story is going. Finally, the guy is a successful car dealer. And guess what? One of the things he has as part of his success is having a lot of interesting women at his beck and call. So when you have a lot of interesting women at your beck and call, you select, don't you? And yes, the selection process had not favored Bimbo. Bimbo was getting sidelined. Bimbo was not enjoying it. And in part, from the story as we've heard it so far, this finished off with Bimbo setting herself on fire out of frustration just because she could not bear that she had done everything she had to get this guy where the guy was, and now the guy was going to use the proceeds of her own hard work to go chase other women. Devastating, huh? Lesson: if you know how to build somebody, my dear, build yourself. It is a stupid thing that we have been taught yet again, that women cannot build ourselves. We must go and build a man. And when we finish building a man, he becomes the home of many. If you know how to build yourself, build yourself, baby. Build yourself. If Bimbo had herself a very good establishment, if Bimbo was doing well, and if Bimbo had connected to society the way apparently she had helped her husband to connect, if Bimbo herself also felt that she was a high premium, high ticket, high value woman. If a guy wants to leave you, and so what? You know, it would be nice if people loved you. But if you are actualized and your esteem is intact, if somebody doesn't like you, it is not the be all end all. The reason why women like Bimbo take the actions they do is they give everything they have to build somebody else. And when that effort does not pay off, if you are not fortunate, your brain, your mind will go. Because this is difficult to handle. This questions all the things that you know and believe in, and it questions everything you've invested in for a long time. It makes you look stupid and feel stupid, and people think you're stupid, you know. And so the hurt from that could be so deep that you are not able to recover from. We've seen a young lady do it recently on live video too. I need to follow that story and I'll bring it to you. But I've seen a footage of a young Black African woman who drank poison on live video whilst her husband was filming. The bugger didn't care that she drank it. He continued to film. When she became uncomfortable and the thing had actually taken it, he continued to film. He actually filmed till the very bitter end. And at no point in the footage I saw did he even realize that he was actually documenting a suicide live on his camera. He had no feelings towards her. You see, if you need to drink poison because a guy is treating you wrong, there's something wrong up here. You can meet people and they can go mad at any time and they can treat you in various ways. But you should still have enough capacity in yourself to be able to decide, hey, this is not how you deal with me. Okay, I invested in this, but this is going in a place I don't want. No, you take your business elsewhere and let me take my business elsewhere. But you see, you take your business elsewhere, let me go elsewhere. It's possible when you feel like you've got options, when you feel that you can start over, when you feel that you are able to move forward and still do well without this person, when your esteem is intact and it's not linked to this person only. This is where the mistake is. Hereon in lies the mistake in our upbringing of our girls. We connect marriage to self-esteem. It's not. It's not. We need to teach women to become versatile in the ways in which they find actualization and esteem. And no, it doesn't come from sexual interactions only. Really, that's marriage. The way you interact with your spouse differs from the way you interact with most of the other people you engage with because of sexual activity. So how then does sexual activity determine the value you place on yourself? You should be worth more than how you connect to one particular person. How you should be better than how one person decides to engage with you. If a person decides to engage with you in ways which are unacceptable to you, you should have enough esteem to say this is not how I'm supposed to be dealt with. No, I don't accept this. No, I love you very much, but I'm happy for you to take this nonsense elsewhere because the rest of the package that comes with this, no. And don't you dare tell a woman who needs to make this decision they are not entitled to. Go read your Bible and go read all your religious books. When it comes to infidelity, when it comes to abuse, there is definitely a leeway given because it is necessary. People do these things when their mind is gone. And when their mind is gone, they are dangerous to your survival. And the better thing to do is to step out, step back, give the distance, secure yourself, and wish the person well. And when a woman is doing this, don't you let me hear a word out of your mouth to question them, to make them second guess it. It is foolish utterances in our circumstance, in our society, which allows a lot of women to believe that they have no option, so they have to stay. And some of them are so boxed in and don't have another option. So the only thing they can do is kill themselves because they can't tolerate it one more day. That a woman will set fire to herself in her own husband's house. Insane. That a woman will drink poison, real poison, whilst her uncaring husband is recording. It's sad. But those women are so boxed in, don't find anywhere else to go because of your long mouth. The stupid, irresponsible comments you will make with your long mouth and what they are afraid will happen to them in society because of you is why they do not take the more sensible option to go somewhere else and to become something else. So long mouth, I greet you today. Know that it is you who causes some of these stories that we hear. You are directly responsible. You will not let people make choices that suit them. Oh, no, you are the most religious of them all. If it was me. Well, it's not you, so shut up. It's not you. Shut up. Allow people to deal with things the way they can. Yes, given the same circumstances, maybe you have better threshold for pain. Not all of us have the same threshold for pain. Some of us have got predisposition to mental illnesses and many other things. And so for some of us, run and escape is the best option. And if it happens to be, don't you listen to what any foolish person says. Because at your funeral, that same foolish person might be there chatting and not even paying attention to your funeral service. And in most cases, especially with online in-laws, they might not even be there at your funeral in the first place. They might not even care that you are gone. The only person who cares about you being gone is you. So make sure that you delay that possible outcome as much as you can. The names I want to bring on this video are Barbra, Tomi, and Bimbo, IVG's wife. to remind you of why it's important that you teach your daughters to actualize in different ways outside sexual activity. We are more than that. Teach it to your daughter. And if a woman discovers it, shut up and let her exercise her franchise. I'll see you in the next video. I told you this was not going to be fun, just by the nature of it. But hopefully, this bit of hard work will help us all move forward and reduce the likelihood of these things happening. I mean, there are aspects here about raising our sons, raising kings. That's a whole different topic. I have a few videos on that. I will discuss that separately. For now, it's Barbra, Tomi, and Bimbo teaching very critical lessons for our daughters and their well-being and survival. I'll see you soon.